Hey guys, it's Miss Yoon. I just want to give you guys a quick little video going over these questions for our unit review. So this test is on Valentine's Day and on the day after Valentine's Day. So it's on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And so hopefully we do well. Let's look at the first one. It says Aiko is selling books for $12 each. She wants to make more than $180 in book sales. The inequality 12b is greater than 180 can be used to determine the number of books b she must sell in order to meet her goal. Which number line best represents the solution to her inequality? So they were nice because they kind of wrote our inequality for us. All we need to do is solve it. 12b means 12 times b. So to get b by itself, we need to do the opposite of multiplying by b, we have to do the opposite of multiplying by 12, which is dividing both sides by 12. So I know that this will equal 1, so we're left with b. I know my inequality stays the same because I didn't multiply or divide by a negative number. And then we have 180 divided by 12, which should be 15. So our answer is b is greater than 15. This is an open circle, so we can immediately cross off a and we can immediately cross off b. It says b is greater than 15, and so 20 is greater than 15, while 10 is not. 10 is not greater than 15, and 20 is greater than 15. That's why C is our answer. You could have also followed the arrow to know which way it's pointing, but, both ways work. These two are interesting ones. It says, what makes a table, graph, and equation multiplicative? Well, for starters, my table is proportional. And I know that it's going to have multiplication or division in it. My graph is going to be going through the origin. Which means it'll look something like this, or maybe something like this. Last but not least, I know my equation is multiplicative because it has a coefficient. If you don't remember what a coefficient means, it basically means that it's something like this, the 2 in 2x, or the 1/2 in 1/2 times x. So what makes a table, graph, and equation additive? Well, this one is just adding or subtracting. Our graph does not go through the origin. So basically, the origin is 0, 0. It would look something like this. Or maybe it looks something like this. And so as you can see, it goes through the axis but doesn't hit that origin right here or right here. Last but not least, we know that it's an additive relationship because it has a constant. That would be something like x plus 2 would be the constant, or maybe something like x minus 5. The minus 5 would be our constant. So these are really some two key things that you should know about how to tell the difference between additive and multiplicative relationships. If we move on to number 4, which number line below would solve the following inequality? Well, we know it's 4b, which means 4 times b. So naturally we have to do the opposite, which is to divide by 4 on both sides. 4 divided by 4 is 1. I keep my inequality the same because I did not multiply and I did not divide by a negative number. So I got 2 is greater than or equal to 4. 4. So this is automatically not it. And this is automatically not it because we're looking for 4, not for 3. So we know it has to be less than or equal to. And so this is not less than or equal to. That's why the only answer that's reasonable is J. Now we have solving for n. Just like the one before, we have to do the opposite. So it says n plus 12. The opposite of adding by 12 is subtracting by 12. I know that my inequality is the same because I did not multiply or divide by a negative number. And also I know that it's the same because, as you can see, the n is on the left side. If it's not on the left side, that means that it's wrong because we need to flip it to make sure the n is on the left side. So you should have gotten C as in cookie, and that's my work. Just do the opposite. Next, we have which inequality is true when x is equal to 4. And so I know you guys had trouble with this on your actual Unit 8 test, but you would literally, Unit 7 test. We would literally just plug in 4 instead of x. So we do negative 25 times 4 is greater than 100. Well, this right here equals negative 100. But is that greater than normal 100? Not a chance. We have negative 25 times 4 is greater than or equal to 100. Well, this is equal to negative 100, and that is not going to be greater than or equal to 100. Now let's try this. It looks a little bit more promising. We have 25 times 4, which is 100, is less than 100. Well, 100 is not less than 100, so it's not right. Therefore, we have 25 times 4 is less than or equal to 100. 25 times 4 is 100, and 100 is less than or equal to 100. That or equal to sign is very important. Connie received a statement from her bank listing the balance in her savings account for the past 4 years, which is the independent quantity in our table. Well, we know that x is always independent and y is always dependent. And so time will always, go on. And the balance is dependent on the time because the longer you have the account, the more money is saved. That's why the balance is dependent on time, which makes time the independent quantity. So down here, I'm going to write that dependent depends on independent. Just so we're clear. So the cost of copying a document is a function of the number of pages in the document. In this situation, what is a dependent variable? So what do you guys think it is? Does the number of pages depend on the cost, or does the cost depend on the number of pages? If you said the cost depends on the number of pages, you'd be correct. So that means that our dependent variable in this case would be the cost. Because the more pages you do, the more cost you have. The less pages you do, the less cost you have. Warren has a map that uses a scale represented in the table below. Given the information in the table, how many miles would 1 inch represent? Well, this is more of like a logic thing, I would say. Because you can do 2 divided by 2, which is 1, and 200 divided by 2, which is 100. But either way, 1 inch is equal to 100 miles. This is more of like a common sense proportion thing. But now I need to create a graph. So I know that my x is going to be my inches. And I know my y is going to be my miles. So I'm just going to count off 1, 2, 3 inches. And in this case, we should probably go by hundreds because our miles units are a lot larger. So I'm going to do 100, 200, and 300. And it should look something like this. It's supposed to be a straight line that goes through the origin, because if you have no inches, you probably have no miles either. So that's my graph. It should have been a straight line, but I kind of messed up here, but you get the idea. So now I need to write the equation to show the relationship. Well, the miles is equal to 100 times the inches. Because, well, 100 times 8 is 800, 100 times 4 is 400, and 100 times 2 is 200. So that's my equation right there. Hey, that's what we just talked about, if it's proportional or not. And it totally is. If we simplify all of our numbers up here, we notice one key thing. They all end up to be 100 over 1. And that's because this is proportional. And like I told you guys in class, if it's proportional, that means that it's multiplicative. So remember, if it's proportional, that means that it's a multiplicative relationship. Miss Susan is on a diet and wants to lose more than 200 pounds. So immediately I know that it has to be greater than 200 pounds. So it's not this and it's not this. So far she has lost 40 pounds. So how many pounds must she lose? So I think it's asking how many more pounds does she have to lose. And so this is where it kind of gets tricky. I know that I have to subtract 400 or 40 from this because that's how much she lost, and she has less to lose now because she already lost this many pounds. So I now need to subtract by 40 to make sure that, oh, you know, it's 160. She has this many pounds left. But remember, I have to do the opposite, and the opposite of subtracting is adding, and that's why we should have gotten D as in donkey. I know that's confusing, but a lot of you guys seem to just read the problem and know how to solve it, but not necessarily know how to write it. And so if you know how to solve it, just remember, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite of subtracting would have been adding, which is why we should have done x plus 40 is greater than 200. If that one doesn't make sense, ask me in class and I'll try to find a better way to phrase it. But that's the best I have so far. Chandra made this table in order to show the results of a science experiment. So I know that this is independent because I have control over how much fertilizer I can put. But this is dependent because I can't control how, big the plant gets. So if you guys think it's both independent, you are wrong. Everything that's both independent, you are also wrong. The amount of fertilizer is added as a dependent quantity. Is fertilizer dependent? No. But is the fertilizer independent? Yes. Because the change in the height depends on the amount of fertilizer we use. That's why your answer should have been J, as in jumping jack. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Write a word problem that matches following inequality. This is more of what you have. So depending on what you wrote, it's either right or it's wrong. And I can't really help you with that. So if you just read it in class, I'm sure that we can get some good answers from this one. Sam is creating a box with a certain length and width. The table below shows how the volume V of the box changes as the height h increases. Which formula best represents the relationship between the volume V and the height h of Sam's box? Okay, so quick trick. Don't ever use the first one or the last one. It's going to probably be fitting for all of these. So what I like to do is pick maybe the middle one if I can. So in this case, I'm going to pick 4 and 16. So what I'm going to do is go down this list And instead of H, I'm going to write 4. Instead of V, I'm going to write 16. And I have some weird replies. If you look at this one, is 30 divided by 4 60? No way. Is 4 divided by 2 equal to 60? Nope. Is 2 times 4 equal to 60? Nope. But is 15 times 4 equal to 60? Yes. I don't really trust it, because I like to confirm, and so I'm going to try one more time. So instead of V, I'm going to write 45. Instead of H, I'm going to write 3. And sure enough, 15 times 3 equals 45. That's how I know my answer is A, as in apple. When in doubt, plug it in. I'm telling you, it works every single time. Yay, it's the same idea. This one talks about a table and a position and the sequence. So this time, I'm going to pick 3 and 10, and we'll see how it goes. So instead of T, I'm going to write 10. And instead of N, I'm going to write 3. Well, 3 minus 7 is negative 4, so that can't be it. 3 divided by 8 is 3/8, so it can't be 10. 3 plus 7, however, is 10. But 8 times 3 is not equal to 10. I'm going to pick another one, just double check myself. Let's try 15 instead of T and 8 instead of N. Does 8 plus 7 equal 15? Yes, it does. And that's how we got G as in goat. Yeah, G as in goat. Yay, 2 more. Which point on the grid appears to be located at 5/2 and negative 9/4? Guys, the first thing I would do is change these these improper fractions into mixed numbers. So I know 5/2, you can just tip and divide. So top in, bottom out. And we have 2 remainder 1, which is also equal to 2.5. So I know my x has to be 2.5, which would be right down this line. Now we have negative 9 divided by 4, which should be 2 remainder 1. So it should be, excuse me, I just sneezed. Oof. It should be negative 2 and 1/4. That's my ordered pair right there. And there's only one that intersects that line, which is point W. But let's do bonus points for, getting these. So T would be 1, 2, negative 2 and 1/4-ish, it looks, and positive 1, 2.5. If you picked A, it's probably because you got your numbers mixed up. Please make sure you go left and right before you go up and down. U was positive 1, 2.5. They got that part right, but they didn't look at the negative, and so they went up 2 and 1/4 instead of down 2 and 1/4. V, I'm not quite sure what they did. I mean, it does look like they did 1.5. Don't know where they got it, and then they went down to 2 and 1/2. They went down to negative 2.5. I don't understand that reasoning, so if you do know what they were thinking, feel free to tell me in class, because I'm kind of confused on how someone would pick that one. Last but not least, we have this one. Which ordered pair represents a point on Verlanda's route? So I know that I need to go left and right before I go up and down. That's just like, come on, we talked about this so many times. You walk to the elevator before you ride the elevator. So I always start at the origin. So from 0, I don't go any left or right because my first number is 0. Then -3 tells me to go down to -3. That is nowhere near her root. Now we have -3, so from the origin I have to go left to -3. Then +6 can go up all the way to +6. This is also nowhere close to Verlanda's route. Now I have 3, 4. This one should be one that you're familiar with because these are both positive, like you've graphed these all last year. But it's still not on Verlanda's route. But if you look at 3, 8, there we go, right there. It's on her route and it's at her house actually. And so that's how you got J as in jumping jacks. I may have gone kind of fast. I will have a copy of this review like all completed and stuff in class. Please remember that I have tutorials today or tomorrow before school and tomorrow after school. And so if you need any help at all, just, stay. Morning tutorials are from 7:30 to 7:50. And after school tutorials are from 3:40 to 4:30. So yeah, that's the review. Look at your notes and we'll go over this more tomorrow. Thank you for your time and goodbye.